Hello everybody and welcome to the iWest Kitchen Table. This is the second of a series. Last time you might have heard me to chat with Skylar, the CEO of Alpian, and today I am joined here by a very special woman, again in flesh and blood. Marion, you are the managing director of Alpian. I'm super happy you are here today and very much looking forward to learn all about you and your story.
iWest Kitchen Table, der Podcast für ein reiches Leben, präsentiert von Alpian iWest.
I'm here today with Marion, who's been one of the first two people actually starting to work at Alpian. But maybe Marion, you could say a couple of words. Who are you and what made you do it?
So I'm Marion Fogli, the managing director of Alpian, and I have heard about the topic of Alpian, which at the beginning was called Project Blanche, by a friend, and who told me, you should meet this person because I'm sure you're the right person for this new initiative. Okay, so I met the person. I really get along extremely well. It was actually Pasha Bakhtiar, who is the chairman of Alpian. And I had 6 meetings, 6 interviews, and had no news back. So I called them and I say, okay, can I get a little bit of news? Since these interviews, I really want to be part of the team. I really want to be on that project. I love it. I want to be part of the team. And I was hired. So I don't know, I joined the team for that.
But there was no team to join because at the start you were only
Skylar,
two, right? Skylar and yourself, right? 2 people.
Yes, but I did a bit shortcut, but in the way also I met Skylar, had a very good catch up, a very good feeling with him. You know, it's also about feeling and intuition, and I had that feeling that I had to be part of it.
So you mentioned you have 3 kids, right? Boys, girls, mixture?
Both. So I have 2 boys and a girl, one 15, Andrea, Sasha, who is 12, almost 13, and Livia, she's 6.
So they were still a little smaller when you embarked on this adventure. How, as a mother of 3, do you even manage to build a startup and have 3 kids at home?
Like every mom, I'm very, very well organized, and I believe it's the same for you. I wake up extremely early. I wake up at 5 most of the days, and I have from 5 to 7 my time just for me. It's peaceful in the house. I can work, I can think of the things I will be doing during the day, organize myself as well. 7 to 8:30 is all about the kids, waking up, spending time. There is a notion of doing things for my job and some moments that are not for my job at all. It's just for me and my family. And then spend the day at the office. I stop in general at 7. And if I have to work again, I will work after 9 or something like this. But in general, I spend my evenings with my family.
Sounds like the day of a working mom is exactly the same for me, right? I get up at 5 every morning. And for that matter, everyone watching or listening, please never text a working mother between 5 and 7, because this is the time where we do yoga or work or think before the madness of the day starts, right?
Exactly.
And so how do you then maintain kind of a lifestyle that keeps you healthy still? Or is that not even a thought that comes to your head?
No, definitely. I think it's very important you have a balance of everything. If you want, because we're not doing a sprint, we're doing a marathon.
But sorry, Marion, what we're describing here is not having a balance, okay? In anybody's standard. I'm sorry to have to tell you, but getting up at 5, working for 2 hours, then taking the kids, right? Okay, going to the office, coming home somewhere at 7, being with the family, and then maybe doing more work. Do you call that a balanced life?
And you know what? I'm passionate about it, so I don't have that feeling of it's an imbalance. But I do have a balance, because on weekends, if I need to do some work, I will do it early, so no one will be suffering from me working. People will be sleeping. And then the rest of the time I enjoy with my family. I also have time for me. I take a little bit of time for sports. I take a little bit of time for different activities I will need to do with friends, family, and so on. It's important to still have that balance, even though you don't think it is. I assure you that I see my friends, I see my family, my kids, of course. It's the most important part of all. And I do sports. I have moments outside, cultural moment as well. No, it's just a matter of being very well organized. You can do it all. I mean, of course, I'm not going to go out every evening of the week, but you can do it once a week easily. It's just a matter of you get organized and it's okay.
Yeah, I think it's the same for me. I mean, my kids, I don't know how about you, but my kids have become incredibly independent with this lifestyle. I've been a working mom since they were born, right? Always working 100%, and it wasn't always that easy. I'm 46 now, right? So in Switzerland, when they were still little, this wasn't always very well accepted. But what it has done to my children, and I don't know if you observe the same, what it has done to them is like becoming very independent human beings, not unrelated, but just independent. They learn to organize themselves because they had to.
Totally. Exactly the same for me. Even my kids, they know about Alpian. So one of them even came for the journée en tout genre. So it's one day where you need to be, you're supposed to be at school, but they ask you if you can have your kid coming to the office. So he came with other children of Alpianists, and he loved it so much now that he's talking about everybody. You don't know about investment, you know you could learn. It's so funny, and they are truly understanding it. You know, the generation. I don't think I was exactly the same at their age. So I see a very big difference between these two is they are very open to the world, you know, with having social medias, information on their phone, and they get to know so many things. One of my kids asked me, "Mommy, can I please invest? Can I please buy one share, sorry?" And I was like, he was 13 at that time. I was like, how do you know about it? Yeah, I want to invest in this share. Here is my money. Please do it for me. And let's see what's going around it. I was like, okay, but did you have a view of what's happening worldwide? Do you have a view on what's happening at the level of the company? And yes, and he had all the arguments for it. So I agree with you, but now I think there is more purpose behind the new generations ever than before. Before it was not like this. Even my 6 years old Divya came to me and said, "But I'm jealous because they came to the office and not me. I didn't get to meet the people you are daily working with. I see very very often them when you do on the video, and I can do and wave my hand, but I never get to see who are the people you're working with for like more than 2 years."
Yeah, my kids for a very long time didn't understand what a bank really was. And then once I took them when I was still working at UBS, right? I took them, so then they understood, it looks like a big office because it's so intangible, right? This concept of money is so intangible. And that applies, I think, probably to kids and to normal adults alike, right? It's something we can't comprehend. Is this building a bank? Yeah, it's so hard to explain.
I was discussing with Roman, our CMO, so our Chief Marketing Officer, and you know, about education for kids. I talk money with my kids, and many of my friends are like, "How dare you talking about money? Don't do that. They're too young." But why? I mean, this is something they will have to deal during their whole life, and I don't even understand why we don't educate them when they're at school, and this is something we're planning to work on, but it's definitely something that should be known by everybody. How do you save? Why? How can you do that? And can you be accompanied and so on? So even for my kids, it's not only a job that I'm describing you, it's like a full way of living. So my kids are totally integrated to it.
And that makes it a lot easier because then they understand when you are not around, or when you are around, which I find personally the hardest part, and you are not, because you are kind of consumed by a computer screen, so you're physically there, but actually not there. How do you deal with that?
This I try to avoid as much as I can, but Olga, to be honest, I don't have an answer to this. Sometimes you have to deliver something and you need to, so you tell them, sorry, mommy is just next to you, but not with you. I'm just finishing what I do. And in an hour, I'm with you. I just explain them.
What did you do before joining Alpian?
I started my career in the Swiss Medical Network, and I stayed there for 3 years. At the time I started, we were having one clinic, and at the end we're having 12. So it was a very good experience. And then I moved into the hospitality industry, into the concierge service. And over time, I had the chance to join the wealth management industry for more than 10 years. I was leading the digital transformation of a wealth advisor based in Geneva and in Monaco. I loved the experience. At the same time, I was as well doing it for a company, a private equity fund. I mean, I love everything about technology. And I think that's why I have stepped in it, because it was more something about passion.
And you were one of the first people, right, hopping on the Alpian adventure, is that right?
Totally. Skylar was the first, definitely. And I was number 2. Really enjoyed it. It was, and when I'm starting to think of what we've been doing for these last 2 years, it's quite crazy. We were 2, like more than 3 people. So quite an adventure.
And what made you do it? I mean, there was this idea of building a new digital private bank. Naturally, there was Skylar, okay, and then there was you. What made you do it? To just hop on this adventure? There must have been something, no?
Yeah, definitely. You know, sometimes you have that feeling that you go into you see something it can be in the banking industry or any other industry, and you're like, oh, but if we do that change, it would be so good. And I had it for years in the banking industry, thinking that we could go much deeper in this and centralize the client. And once I had the opportunity to join Alpian, which at the time was not the name of Alpian, but this project, I was like, I want to be part of it. I mean, it's the way that we can change everything and centralize the clients and serve him in his best interest. So that's why.
Because you wanted to create something that's better for people.
Exactly.
That's very interesting. So how did Alpian find its name?
Long story. We've been spending hours and hours in thinking different names. We even had an agency working on it, presenting us different names, but none of them was corresponding to who we were. We found one, but then after we had a problem, the name was already used, so we had to change it. And actually, it's a very nice story. It's the one from the grandfather of Skylar. I wouldn't tell that story. I would encourage you to have a talk with Skylar, and I even think there is a video about it.
So, you know, I always worked in banks, probably struggling with the fact that you want to change a bank, which we all know is incredibly hard, right? Because of established systems and all of these great things. Here, somehow, you have the chance to do everything from scratch. Now, most people can't imagine what it takes to actually put a bank together. Can you explain a little bit what it takes? What has the past 2 years been like?
Crazy. So it's a big topic, I would say. In fact, you have to create 3 different things. The first one is create a company. Quite easy to create a company. Then after you have to create a bank, and this is quite complicated, and I'm going to come back to it. And then once this bank is created and you have all the approvals, all necessary approvals, it becomes a bank that you have to run on a daily basis. So these are the 3 steps. What we started with first, find a name, of course, create that company, make sure you start to have the right people joining you. This is a big step, I have to say. And then after you have multiple aspects, you need to create departments. You need to make sure that the departments are working with each other, that you have cross-function. You need as well to learn as much as possible all the necessary elements about regulations, rules. Then after you need to find an office, put furniture in that office, make sure that you have a development team that is in line with the business needs. And then after you go on, I think I could write a book.
You could write a book? What would be the title of the book if you were to write one?
How to start to build a bank.
How to start to build a bank.
Yes, definitely.
Really?
Yeah.
So it should be like a step-by-step guide by Marion.
Totally. Not only me, I mean the full Alpianist. People working at the Alpian are called Alpianists, but it's not only me, it's all of us. We've been bringing little by little what we are today.
Now, you mentioned before the people, right? We know that many traditional And actually even new fintechs, right, are struggling with diversity big time. Usually comes to me, say, can you not help? We are looking for the women, or we are looking for people of different cultures, whatever have you. And I think at Alpian, at least from what I have seen, it's a fairly good job. It's kind of a mixed team. How many nationalities are in the team?
I never count them, to be honest, but we have many. We have Indian, we have Italian, Spanish, Swiss, of course, French, American, Romanian. I could continue the list. Actually, we have many nationalities.
And I think probably a fair share of a gender mix, right?
Kind of, yes.
Do you think it's something going forward now as Alpian hopefully will grow? What does it even take to become an Alpianist?
We're looking for two things in people. Nowadays everybody have very good studies. So when you receive CVs, you have like, wow, amazing CVs, all of them. Then after, what we look for is people having their experience, but also their way and a certain type of mindset. So we don't want people that see things stopping and being in a box. We want them to go beyond this. We want people that are able to roll up their sleeves and go beyond what is their title, because we are creating everything from scratch. And this is the type of people we are looking. Of course, we need the experience, we need the certain knowledge, so we have responsibilities that is applying to each of the role that we are looking for. But at the same time, we want them to be fitting together with our team. It's something so important for us. It's embedded. I want to know them not only on the professional side. I want to know about their family. I want to know about, and not only me, the others as well. I want to know about their what they like, their hobbies, and become our own family. So it's something very typical to Alpian, because we work so hard. You wake up very early in the morning, you go late at night as well, and it's important for them to have that belonging. Okay, I do something, I'm potentially going to change totally an industry, and if I do so, I want to be somebody that counts. And this is something we care a lot. So I would say, to resume, people that can be good performers, can be as well with a good mindset, very open, and that's it. Then they have to come as they are. You said it, we have lots of nationalities within our team. It's because we're looking for talents worldwide.
So was it hard to recruit in Switzerland? Because ultimately the advisors and everybody else will be serving Swiss clients, right? They also need to speak the language. Where and how did you find the people that have kind of this cross-thinking and potentially come from a traditional bank?
We are having hard times sometimes. We would depend on the period, to be very honest, to find the right talents. It depends also on the department. Some departments or some roles are very easy to find in Switzerland, some others less. What I would say is we have our network. That's the first step. I think you know about it very much. We have also the word of mouth that is helping a lot. We pass through different agencies, and we also use some social medias where we can request for the new roles. I don't have a secret recipe, to be honest.
Probably nobody has, but I'm assuming there are many people out there that want the financial services system to work differently. Mm-hmm. You included, myself included, right? And I think there is a whole community of people who say, you know what, it's time to put the clients first, yes. Right? And here at Alpian, there is the opportunity to do exactly that, because nothing has to be changed. It can be created, but exactly. It doesn't have to be changed, which exactly. I think is just a splendid opportunity.
Totally.
What's your hobby? You mentioned that all Alpianists have hobbies. What is yours?
I have a lot. I swim a lot. I love to go into the mountains, ski, big time ski, and Pilates. And Pilates?
Yeah. Okay, great. I never understood Pilates, but anyway.
And I love opera.
You love opera? Okay, fabulous. Maybe to come back, I mean, probably in Switzerland, nobody was waiting for another bank, right? What do you think will make Alpian successful?
what we are creating is for people that have not yet the service in place for their need. And I explain myself. If you have some savings sometimes, okay, either you're young, you have some savings, or you're almost retired and have a lot of saving and you really care about them. You're like, I don't want to do some investment because I'm too scared to lose. But nowadays, what you have, you can see the interest rate that is negative. You can also see that the situation worldwide can move quite a lot. People are not thinking like, can I trust my bank and have some investment to be done within a bank? And I see it, this trust that they have and have not in their bank is for us an opportunity, because the people really, really won't go in deep when it concerns themselves. So there are two things. You got love and money. When you start to talk about this, it's very important for them to understand what they do. And what we think we do something very different is that we explain everything. We remove all the vocabulary that is not being understandable. We explain, okay, you have no knowledge. If you have no knowledge, this is what we would recommend you to do. If you have some knowledge, we still recommend these elements, and we are opening the discussions. Maybe you haven't seen this, or maybe we can have some discussion and different talk. You know, this partner that you should have all your life long, we want to become this type of partner. And I think it's very, very different aspect that I haven't seen yet proposed to the people who have from 1,000 up to 1 million Swiss franc in liquid asset. I think it's important for them to understand that we do care about what they want to do, and we do care about what is the meaning in doing some investment.
And when the whole, let's say, new digital private bank will go live for Switzerland, what is it? What does it mean to go live? What can people very practically expect? What will they get?
Well, physically, an app that they will have to download on their mobile. And then what would they expect? Retail banking and private banking, totally digital, with that human touch that we will only have. So you will be able to interact with a wealth advisor, as we are discussing, just through a discussion, and get to know exactly what are the purpose behind your wish of investment. You can also have always contact with your bank through different methods, such as the chat. And also have, all this transparency that we all wish to have, and to get to know exactly what do I pay for, why, and potentially understanding the impact investing as well. Get to know, okay, I want to do some investment, but at the same time I want to do good, so how can I do this?
And then the app will show how your money is doing good?
Yeah, yes.
It will?
Yes.
Oh, this will be exciting, because there are not that many out there. I get this question asked a lot, and I'm very interested in your perspective. People always ask me, what does it mean to be a woman working in digital and in financial services, right? Because there are so few women in financial services and still few in digital, and then when it merges, I think it's probably a handful. Does it make any difference for you that you are a woman?
Not really, to be very honest. I never had limit being a woman. The only limit I had was regarding the organization with my kids. Not home, not at work, but the organization that you have with schools and all of this. I didn't have the flexibility that I would like, and I still don't have it. And I think this should be a big change happening soon, and we will push back all these gender questions. Because it's only about the organization at home. You have kids, you get to organize, and then after you have to choose who is going to get the kid at that time between the dad and the mom. And most of the time the women are doing it. And I don't think it's linked to it. I have tremendous friends, both men, women, that have amazing studies and very good careers, and I meet them very often. I don't see any limitation. I just think it's limited by the organization of with families. If I'm thinking of Alpian, we have a lot of women within Alpian that have executive roles. So I don't think it applies to our company, probably to others, but there's no limitation that I see on my side.
No, to me, it also, I mean, I've been working in financial services forever. It never occurred to me that being a woman actually meant being a thing until I started to study all these statistics around gender diversity and women and wealth and all of that. And that there I was only 38 when I learned all of these data. Before that, it never even occurred to me that it would make a difference, you know.
Yeah, and I will even add something. By the past, I'm even thinking before Alpian. By the past, I worked for a wealth advisor company, and the CEO was Aurel Calomeni, so a man. And actually, I always consider him as a mentor. So it was, you know, even beyond this. So a mentor. This is what I've been thinking of him. So, and for 10 years, definitely a person who accompany you. No, not linked to a woman at all.
Not linked to a woman. What advice we would give to ourselves if we look 20 years back, right? You are 40 now, I'm 46. So if you were in your 20s, what advice would you give to yourself?
What we're bringing with Alpian, to be very honest, is exactly this. I would learn how to manage my savings. And if I don't have savings, because I was 20, I would learn how to do some savings. How to do it? What can I do with small? Because when you start with little thing, it can become huge if you do correct investments. So I would learn how to manage my finances at all levels. I would be much more structured, and I would have loved to have courses at school, not during my studies when you go to the university, but before. As I mentioned to you, I think it's so important that they understand what I would have understand is what I control and what I can't control. And I think it's very important to have these two aspects. And once you understand this and you put in perspective with putting, your savings, what can you do with it? How should you put some savings for you in case you have, I don't know, you lose your job? What would you do with okay, so you have some savings. Do I have to put all the saving in the same bucket? Yes, no. These are the elements I would have loved to hear at the beginning. I had none at the time. I had bank accounts, but I had no advice because I was just a number within a bank. So just someone saying, you know what, let me explain you a few things that you would have during your entire life. And I would also recommend myself to read some books much earlier because I think they would have guaranteed some opening in my mind and in my way of seeing money. That would be my advice to myself.
I would have loved to have better advice because when I finished my studies, I actually went to see the banker of my mom. And I even started to invest, but the investment wasn't any good. So I had that investment for 20 years, but the fees had eaten it all up. So kind of the action was there, the awareness was there, somehow the little bit of knowledge how to do it, but the end result was not satisfactory, right?
Yeah.
And because I had, at that point in time, limited education, probably like yourself, right? It only came with experience and even luckily enough, working in financial services. For a very long time, it's almost like lost time because I didn't know what good would mean like, what to look for, you know? I felt I had done the right thing for my money because it was the thing I was told to do, but it proved not to be effective. So that's probably looking back, kind of having links back to more education maybe, but also to the right type of education to understand, you know, not just, yes, you do one thing, but is it the right thing? That would have helped. So Marion, Alpian has this thing which calls wealth beyond money, right? And I think it probably requires a very personal interpretation. What is wealth beyond money for you?
My wealth beyond money is definitely freedom. Been thinking a lot about this because, I mean, with a credo such as wealth beyond money, you must have in mind exactly what is yours. So it's freedom with no hesitation because it gives you the freedom to do everything you love, you like, you want to do, and you would like to do. So that's my wealth.
That's your wealth beyond money.
And you?
For me, I think it's time to think and to create something new, which when you link it to the money, is the money allows you to have freedom of choice, right? I would love to arrive at a state where you have absolute freedom of choice to kind of choose to work on something, choose maybe not to work on something. And for myself, having kind of stepped out of a traditional banking career, it was a deliberate choice, right? Of course, it meant some concessions on the financial side, but it undoubtedly gave me the freedom to maybe also do a lot of work where I don't have to ask for any form of money. And that is what I think for me wealth beyond money is, to have a stable ground and then being able to say, you know what, here is the women's network, they have absolutely no budget, but they need a presentation on how to manage savings. Well, do I care whether they can pay me or not? No, not because I would be such a fantastic person, but because I have the luxury that I don't need to care. And that is something that I absolutely love, and I would just love to do more of that. So, Marion, thank you so much for taking the time to join the IWES Kitchen Table series in flesh and blood. It was absolutely delightful to meet you and to hear more about your story and your life as a mom and as an entrepreneur. So thanks so much for being here.
And it was a great pleasure to be with you as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And to everybody who's been watching, I hope you enjoyed that. More to come from IWES Kitchen Table soon. Bye for now.